Now, Swiss authorities may seek the extradition of young Russians over a car crash scandal in Switzerland. We earlier reported that 4 Russian citizens have been released on bail after being charged by Swiss authorities with drunk driving. The Russians were reportedly racing a Lamborghini, a Bugatti and other expensive cars at high speed before they hit a Volkswagen driven by a 70-year-old Swiss citizen. The elderly man, he received head injuries, and Swiss authorities launched an investigation into the incident. The latest on the story is that media reporting the Lamborghini driver is in fact the son of a prominent Russian businessman who was today expelled from his university in Moscow. To discuss this story now, we are joined by Moscow News columnist Deidre. Deidre, thanks very much for joining us. Now, this story has been picked up by the international media. They're making quite a big thing of it. Do you think it's a particularly Russian problem, rich kids who are behaving badly?
Not at all. I think rich kids, particularly rich boys, have been behaving badly throughout time. And certainly it's not a Russian problem. I think the reason the media has picked this up so much is because Russians generally, rich Russians generally, these days I've noticed in Hollywood and in the popular press together, are sort of being seen as evil bad doers. Like, I just watched that 2012 movie, and the villain in that is, of course, and I knew it right away when the movie came on, he's like an oligarch type,
Russian oligarch,
who's very evil and very ridiculous and stupid.
Does he have a lovely Russian accent? Speak like this? No?
I didn't even notice, but he did have a lovely Russian girlfriend, blonde with a little dog in her bag. So these are very stereotypical ideas that the West has, and that's why they're interested in the story, because I'm sure this happens all the time with rich boys and fast cars.
Okay, so it seems like it's being exaggerated.
It almost feels like the whole world is basically really jealous right now. I mean, look at those cars. They're absolutely incredible.
But what about what can be done about it, though? If people are behaving badly, let's take these people in particular, rich children acting up. Surely you can't fine them because they've got so much money, a fine's no good. What do you do to try and stop them?
Oh, I don't know. These kids they were about 25. I mean, you could try to take away their driving license. That's one thing. Are they getting expelled because of this incident?
Yeah, one of them he's already expelled.
Because of what happened in Switzerland?
Yeah, because apparently when they sign up for that university, the particular university that he studied in, you sign legal documents saying that you are going to be
so
abiding.
So he was expelled in Switzerland, not really here in Moscow.
Is that enough, though?
Well, they didn't have proper driver's license anyway. I think that would be pretty bad, because from what I read, for these kids, being in the university in Switzerland helps them get their Swiss passports and residencies, that actually being in Switzerland would be very important.
But they're the tip of the iceberg. What about all the other rich Russian kids?
All over the world?
Well, in Russia in particular.
I mean, rich kids all over the world, I think, is a bigger problem than why are you? I mean, you also are saying it's a Russian problem. I mean, I don't think ours are any worse than anyone else's. And that's what I'm saying is that people just assume ours are worse because we actually make it to the paper. Because our kids are doing it, everyone wants to read about it. I'm pretty sure you'd have Italians. I think of Italian kids, rich, fast cars, don't you? I mean, certainly Italians are famous for this kind of thing.
So it's threats of punishment, you think? Expulsion?
Well, to do it, I mean, the expulsions, it's bad. I would think that is worse since they didn't have driver's license anyway. That is a pretty serious, I'm not even sure that is the proper, I think that might be too extreme, actually. But certainly, if that's what people think are going to happen, they would be more careful.
What do you think of Russian driving in general? Because it's interesting, just a few days ago, Moscow hosted a UN conference on road safety. President Medvedev was calling for better driving and to regulate international driving rules and standards.
Well, let's face it, I mean, the driving here is pretty bad. I mean, I almost didn't make it tonight because of it. I mean, everyone's cutting everyone off, and it's just, as you all know, it's chaos. We all made
tough.
Right, so it's like leave an hour if you're going live. I don't think that the driving here is very good, and I don't think anyone would say it is. I've rarely had a good driver. I wouldn't drive here, I don't know if you do. They all seem to love to drive, but they don't really seem to know how to do it very well. There's not a lot of course we have horrible chaotic traffic conditions anyway, we have so many cars, but there's not a lot of just polite behavior on the road.
Yeah, because also a Swiss citizen was involved in that car crash, which is really sad. Yeah, and he was also quite, he was of age, 70 years. He was probably going quite slowly, I guess. And do you think that this might have been something that really heated up the situation, that, good old Europe got very annoyed?
Well, I do think that if only Russians had been hurt, it would not be as big a deal. But this is a very likable character. He's 70, he's in a Volkswagen. His car was thrown something like 100 meters.
50?
50, some incredible amount. And, you know, he's got horrible head injuries. And I don't think they even think he's going to survive. And I think he's in a coma. So he's a very likable victim in a way. But let's wonder what would happen. What would have happened if they had hurt themselves or nobody? It probably would, you're right, Anna, it probably would be less of a thing. But I don't think it's Europe. I think it's the whole world. I don't think it's Europe going bad Russia. You know, I've talked about that in my column, bad Russia. I just think it's because they're Russian that the story is interesting. I think if they had been French, I don't think we would have read about it.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure if you go on the internet, you'll find lots of other incidents all around the world. Thanks very much for giving us your views. That's Moscow
My
News
pleasure.
columnist Deidre
Deidre.
Dad.
Thank you.